Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 Special Edition. Well, not quite. This is the China version of the phone, so it's been rebranded as Samsung Galaxy W25. But for all intents and purposes, other than some slight aesthetic change, this is the exact same phone as the Z Fold 6 Special Edition that launched in Korea last month. Now, there's a lot to like with this phone, and I think it sets the path forward and it's a tease of what is to come with the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And I think this is good because I think this phone really begins maybe Samsung's comeback to regain the foldable phone crown. Because even though Samsung is the pioneer of the foldable phone, the reality is for the past few years, Chinese foldable phones had surpassed Samsung in terms of hardware. Chinese foldable phones from Vivo, Xiaomi, Huawei, Honor, they were thinner, lighter, yet gave you a bigger battery and camera sensors that were larger. Like, there was just no denying that Chinese foldable phones were outperforming Samsung on the hardware front. And this special edition Fold 6 kind of closes the gap a little bit. It is thinner and lighter than the Galaxy Z Fold 6, although the numbers are very marginal. It's like 1.5 millimeters thinner than the Fold 6 and like 5 grams lighter. But more importantly, Samsung increased the width, the horizontal width of the phone. So when it's folded now, it has a 6.5-inch outside display compared to 6.3 before, and the aspect ratio has also been widened a little bit. So now this outside screen has an aspect ratio that's very close to a conventional slab phone. I have the Vivo X200 Pro here. If you put them side by side, you can see they're very similar in width. And that means I can type much faster on this outside screen than any other previous Samsung Galaxy Z Fold device. Now, since this screen is wider, that means the inner screen is also wider. 8-inch panel, 10:9 aspect ratio, so still almost like a perfect square, but it is wider now from left to right, which means again you get a little bit more canvas. Particularly, Samsung has a very robust multitasking system, so you can run 2-3 apps at the same time. Now you have more horizontal room to work with when you're running apps in split screen. What else is different compared to the Fold 6? There are really only 3 other areas that I know of. The first is the main camera got an upgrade. It's a 200 megapixel sensor compared to the 50 megapixel camera in the Fold 6. The second is that there's more RAM. There's 16 gigs of RAM in here. And then number 3 is, this part's actually a downgrade. The front-facing camera is still a 4 megapixel sensor, but it is no longer completely hidden underneath the display. That means you can see the selfie camera at all times, unless you're using a black wallpaper. Otherwise, you can see it. This selfie camera sucks anyway. It's 4 megapixels, so just don't use it. The front-facing camera on the outside, 10 megapixel, it's a lot more respectable. Now, the other 2 cameras here, the ultra-wide, 12 megapixel, and 10 megapixel 3x telephoto, are the exact same lenses used in the Fold 6, so that means they are pretty solid performers, but really nothing to write home about. Like, honestly, in terms of camera performance, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 is solid. Like, it's not a bad camera system, but it cannot compete with the Vivo X Fold 3 or the Huawei Mate X6 that I'm currently testing. Those are just better camera hardware all around. But the upgrade to the 200 megapixel camera is a welcome change because now you have more megapixels to play with. Now, for the most part, dynamic range, depth of field are still very similar, but it's just that with more megapixels, you can crop in a little bit more. You can play with the image, zoom in, pixel peep a little bit more. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a Z Fold 6 on me because I'm traveling, so I can't do a side-by-side comparison. But for the most part, the in-hand feel is very similar, other than the screen is wider, so you have an easier time typing. Like the heft, it's a little bit lighter, but you don't really feel it. And the battery is exactly the same, 4,400 milliamp hours, which is disappointing. I know why Samsung is playing it safe with battery size, but I think, you know, it's been years. I think Samsung really needs to step it up on that front because Chinese foldable phones, again, they're giving us battery that are like over 1,000 milliamp hour larger than what Samsung is giving you. The software is mostly the same, even though this is the China version, so it does not come with Google Apps. You can install Google Play Store very easily via an APK. Once it's installed, you can just install the rest of the Google apps and everything works fine. From what I can tell, all the multitasking stuff, the taskbar down below is exactly the same, except I am not able to get Google/Galaxy AI to work in here. So Samsung's like Object Eraser, Gemini, Circle to Search, none of that is available here because this is the China version of the phone. So that's a pretty big downgrade in my opinion, because one of the reasons I still like to use the S24 Ultra and the Z Fold 6, it's for Samsung's AI features, which are actually pretty useful, but you don't have that here. Oh, and there's also no S Pen support. But in return, you get a display with a less prominent crease. The crease is still a little bit noticeable if you look at it from extreme angles, but for the most part, it's a little bit more faint than on the Fold 6. And when I run my finger through the screen, I actually do not feel the crease at all. This is a very good looking panel, up to 2600 nits and maximum brightness. And the hinge is still the industry best. Like Samsung's hinge is just very robust and premium feeling. It can stay in place at virtually any angle. That is the same here, the best hinge on the market. As for this special W25 China model, it has a very reflective glass back that I think looks great when you've wiped it down and it's brand new. I think it looks great. But as soon as you touch it, you get fingerprint smudges on it. I think it looks nasty. But one thing I do like about this China model is that there's a gold trim around the chassis. It also has a texture to it. When you run your finger through it, it's not a smooth surface. It's like a little bit of a subtle ridge texture. I quite like it. It makes the phone a little bit easier to grip. Ultimately, there's not that big difference between this phone and the Galaxy Z Fold 6. I think Samsung launched this kind of as a stopgap device and to tease what is to come with the Z Fold 7, because I'm willing to bet money that the Galaxy Z Fold 7, it's gonna look and feel like this with a wider screen and also thinner design. I think Samsung's finally conceding that, like, yeah, Chinese phones had overtaken us with some hardware, so we're gonna go in that direction too. But I only hope that the Z Fold 7 will give us a larger battery and maybe a little bit better ultra wide and zoom lens. Definitely the zoom lens. And also, one final shout out to Samsung. The freebie case here, it's not a cheap clear TPU case, it's a vegan leather faux leather case. It snaps onto the back. There's also a frame that snaps onto the front. And because the phone is not that thick now, at like 10.9 millimeters, it still feels very comfortable to hold even with the case on. So yeah, this is the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Special Edition W25. I hope you enjoyed this very quick hands-on. I did not buy this phone. I got it from Trinity Electronics. They're a phone importer in Hong Kong. If you're interested in importing one, maybe you could give them a look. They can probably get you the phone very fast. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I have a lot more coming. Like, I have several devices I'm testing right now that I can't talk about yet. But they will go live soon. So please stay tuned. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.